What about abortion in the case of rape? Well, a few things to consider. Number one, over 99.5% of abortions have nothing to do with rape. By the way, that statistic is from the Guttmacher Institute, which is a very, very pro choice institute. Most people who argue for abortion in the case of rape are just trying to make a cheap, emotionally manipulative argument. You typically can ask these pro-aborts, do you support abortion in cases where there was no rape, where rape was not a factor? And they will undoubtedly say, yes, of course, I support that. And so the question is, why did you bring up rape in the first place? Abortion in the case of rape is only worth talking about if you already agree that abortion is wrong to begin with. Bringing up abortion in the case of rape is an admission that you do not think abortion is okay in normal settings, because if you did, that's what you would talk about, and you wouldn't feel the need to be brought to this extreme example. So you should just start with normal abortion, but you didn't. You started with rape, which shows that you admit, knowingly or not, that abortion is wrong in most cases, in normal circumstances. Well, either it's an admission of this or you are just trying to use emotional manipulation. It's one of the two. But your manipulation, it does not work anymore. That argument is no longer persuasive to the masses. So this woman was raped. What, did she have cancer too? Is she homeless? Maybe she's disabled while we're at it, and maybe she's an orphan. Maybe her puppy was just ran over. Who knows? All it is, when you bring up abortion as a pro-choice person, it's just an emotional manipulation. It's just an emotional argument. It's not persuasive, and it really shows that you're just trying to use these cases where these awful things happen to these women. You're just trying to use them for your own political gain, and everybody sees right through it. But you see, the problem is that murder is still wrong. Murder is still murder, even when something bad has happened to you. So if you are raped and you go out and murder a 3-year-old, just because you were raped, that does not justify murdering that 3-year-old. All right, number two, rape and abortion are wrong for the same reasons. They are both violent acts of aggression against other weaker individuals. When he rapes a woman, he is overpowering another defenseless person and is inflicting his own selfish will on her. Now, when a woman pays an abortionist to murder her child, she is doing the same exact thing. She is overpowering another defenseless person and inflicting her selfish will on him. Number three, being a murderer, that is a very traumatizing thing. You may have heard that murderers, what they often say is, they say, imagine if your entire life was focused only on the worst thing that you have ever done. Obviously, being murdered is a serious sin against you, but when someone murders someone else, it hurts them beyond the belief. It hurts the murderer beyond the belief, because going from not being a murderer to being a murderer, that is a very traumatic thing. It is a very awful thing to become a sinner in that way. It is a tremendously traumatizing thing. And now, women who are raped, they ought to be cared for and loved and protected, not further traumatized by turning them into murderous monsters. Being the mother of a murdered child, that will not help you to overcome grief and trauma. That will only further worsen the issue. Two wrongs do not make a right. All right, number four, children should not be punished for the crimes of their parents. If a man rapes a woman, that man should be put to death. No one else should be punished for his crimes. His cousin is not responsible. His high school math teacher is not held responsible. You would not put them to death for his crime. Yet for some reason, we put the child to death as an atonement for the sin of the father. Why is it that we do this? Why does the pro-abortion crowd, why are they so in support of murdering a child to pay for the sins of the father? It's ridiculous. And of course, so often these pro-choicers, all the time they say that you should not put rapists to death. They are so anti-death penalty. They are so anti-putting rapists to death. And do you see how insane and twisted they are? Do you see the levels of their depravity? Do you see how backward they have become? When a man rapes a woman, pro-choicers say that we should protect the rapist, not put him to death. We should protect the rapist, and we should abort the baby. We should punish the child. We should put the child to death, but we should protect the rapist. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil. Number 5, rapists love abortion. What is a rapist's best friend? A rapist's best friend is abortion. And why is that? Why do rapists love abortion? Well, it gets rid of the evidence. So you have a stepdad, he rapes his daughter and she gets pregnant. What do you think is going to be the first thing that he's going to do? What's going to be the first thought that goes into his head? What's the first thing that's going to be on his mind? What is his first action? Well, is there even a question? Is there even a hint of a question as to what he's going to do? Is it not wildly obvious what he is going to do in that situation? He is going to take her straight to a Planned Parenthood. That is the first thing he's going to do when he finds out that his stepdaughter, who he's been raping, is pregnant. The first thing he's going to do is take her directly to a Planned Parenthood. He is going to murder the child, get rid of any evidence that he raped her, and then he's going to take her back home and he's going to go right back to raping her. That is exactly what is going to happen, and it happens time and time again. It happens all the time, and abortion providers in America almost never report suspected rape to law enforcement. They're required to legally, but they don't do it. They never do it. And Lila Rose, she exposed that. There's wild videos of people calling into a Planned Parenthood and saying, hey, my dad raped me and I need an abortion. And what the Planned Parenthood operators say is they say, oh, well, call back and don't mention that. Hang up. And then the person calls back and say, hey, I need an abortion. And they say, oh, well, come in. And so Planned Parenthood, they are legally required to report suspected rape to law enforcement, but they never do. And that is why rapists love Planned Parenthood. There is a love-love relationship between rapists and Planned Parenthood. These abortion providers, what they do instead, a rapist will bring their victim to Planned Parenthood to get an abortion. And Planned Parenthood, what do? They help the rapist, they get rid of the evidence, they murder the child, and they send that little girl who's being raped, they send her back home with her rapist. They send her back home with her rapist to be raped time and time again. If you care at all for rape victims, the first thing you should do is oppose abortion. That is the number one best thing we could do right now to fight rape. Well, maybe that and start putting rapists to death. Those are the number two. Those are the top two things that we could do. All right, number 6, children who are going to be born without a father. Right, if your father is a rapist, he's probably not going to be your father. Your mother is probably not going to want to raise you with him. So children who are going to be born without a father, they deserve to be especially loved and especially cared for. These children, they're going to have rough lives, so they should be especially loved, not further hated and abused and even murdered via abortion. Now, I want you to take a look at this image. This is an image of 2 children in the womb, 2 separate ultrasounds here. Can you tell me which one of these 2 children was conceived in a loving family? Can you tell them apart? And then which one of these children was conceived in rape? No? Can you not tell me that? Is that because they are basically identical? Well, yes, of course. Both babies are equally precious. Both of these babies are equally deserving of love and care and protection. Why is one of these babies more guilty and deserving of death than the other? Which one of these children does not have the right to live? By the way, if you disagree with any of this, make sure to check out Anna Ritchie's book, I Am the Exception. She had been raped as a child by multiple, I don't even want to say parents, people who were supposed to be taking care of her. And just, wow, what a brutal, brutal story of how rape further entrenches, abortion further entrenches rape in our culture. And how rapists, they really love abortion, and how rape, when a woman is going through that, how abortion will just further shove her down into this dark hole of despair. And you can get that book, by the way, on kgov.com. Go to kgov.com/store. I don't know how much it is, but we try to make it pretty cheap there. But abortion is clearly not the answer to rape. Abortion makes rape worse in every single situation, no exceptions. I hope you enjoyed that video. I've been pro-life for a very long time, and something I've realized is that if you just describe what abortion is, people tend to think you are against abortion and making an argument against it, which is really interesting. We have another video on that coming right up. Just make sure to click on the video on this end screen and like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends, especially your pro-abort friends.